Alright guys, welcome back to another Reynatis update video. This one is going to be an interesting one. I definitely have some thoughts on the gameplay, as recently we got to see about 13 minutes of Reynatis gameplay. This has probably gone under the radar for most of you guys. There was a live stream with the developers playing the game live. We got to see a lot of combat, a little bit of exploration around Shibuya, and my skepticism towards the combat, I think, has been proven more just because, again, I really don't know how to feel about this game. I'm sort of leaning in the realm of, yeah, the combat system doesn't really look the greatest. It might be a case of seeing somebody else play it or just seeing footage. Okay, it's not going to look that great, but actually playing the game, really cool. Either way, I'll end up buying this, and I'll do my own sort of science experiment to determine whether or not there is some quality here. It should be known that Reynatis is coming from Furyu, which Furyu have a long-running history of pumping out not very highly regarded games, and games that generally always have very low budgets. It kind of seems like it's a similar case here with Reynatis. I think this is probably the most traction any single one of their games has received, maybe apart from like the Caligula effect. I think everything about Reynatis though looks really cool. A great cool cast of characters, an awesome setting, the general style and feeling of the game, as well as its narrative that it does have on display, seems all pretty enticing. But obviously, if the gameplay department lacks, then this is going to be something that people will shun to the side. Now, director Takumi Asobe was playing the game live. We'll talk about the combat first because it's the most important part here. He was playing as Marin in this sort of woodlands forest type area, showing us some gameplay with both Marin and another character. First thing I want to say is, like, the animations, whether it be from the enemies or the player character, just kind of looks a little bit stiff. And again, going back to that whole thing of like low budget, it does sort of look low budgety. I will say, as Marin is engaging in combat and he's in his release form, he does look badass doing all of the cool moves, but there is something about this combat system that just simply doesn't look fluid, and in a way, without being ultra disrespectful, does look a little bit jank. He gave a demonstration of both the suppression and release form. Suppression form is going to allow the player to be able to dodge. You can't attack whilst in this form, but it's the only form that you're allowed to evade enemy attacks. You can also counterattack during this form too. The dodging and stuff all looks fine. It does look fluid-ish and smooth to a certain degree. Marin's gameplay certainly looked better compared to the other playable character here though. Again, I can't quite put my finger on it, but when looking at the combat of this other playable character, I started to lose just a little bit of hope. Furthermore though, and I feel really bad for the devs during this live stream, but they ended up having to cut the gameplay short because one of the characters ended up falling through the ground, through the map. The game basically bugged out, it glitched, it fumbled, and they had to just quickly turn off the gameplay footage. And again, I feel really bad. This is like the worst thing that can happen when you're trying to demonstrate and sell a game during a live stream. Basically, Asobe switched character from Marin to the other playable character, and that playable character was somewhere in the underworld, beneath the map. Of course, the game is still like 4 months out from the Japanese release anyway, so the devs do have a little bit of time here to fine-tune and fix some things, and yeah, there's probably going to be some bugs in the current state that the game is in, but again, you just do not want something like this to happen when you're trying to show the game off. I think though Marin definitely looks the most fleshed out from the gameplay that we've seen. I would say the same probably for Sari as well, as she is also a main protagonist. Looking at these other additional playable characters that you can have in your party, a little bit skeptical on that, but I think the gameplay of Marin does look good. The special unique abilities that you can activate with X and A here are cool for Marin because they actually change the way he performs his combo. We see this sort of claw-based combo attack when he activates the ability. So for his abilities, at least, it actually changes the combo pattern. Also shown to us in this gameplay is a scoring system for each combat encounter that you engage in. We can also see that there is a hit counter, similar to that of like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry. So you will be awarded on your performance of each combat encounter encounter, like a lot of different hack and slash games. Now looking at the general exploration, we got a lot of gameplay here of Isobe, just exploring different areas of Shibuya as Sari. I think the general atmosphere of this game is fantastic. As we know, they are trying to get a very accurate representation of Shibuya in this game, with a lot of the actual brands and stores that appear in real-life Shibuya to appear in Reynatis' rendition. We've already talked about some of these stores that have appeared so far in the footage that we've received, like Adidas, for example. Still have no idea how they managed to land an Adidas deal. We got to see a few more here in this footage though. We got ABC Mart, which is a footwear chain throughout Japan. We've also got Moss Burger, a takeaway store, and Tutu Anna, which is a female clothing store. But the most important is Burger King. Yeah, I'm not twisting your nipple. Burger King appears in Reynatis. I can tell you that it's not very often that a super well-known fast food chain that is on a global scale ever appears in a video game. And again, going back to that whole thing of how did they land this kind of a deal, especially when we look at the game, it doesn't look like it's got the highest budget. Is all of the budget going into landing all of these absolutely ridiculous brand deals? Keep in mind though, just because we see a brand appear in a video game, it's not to say that there is actually an exchange of money or some deal that was formulated. Sometimes the devs just present the opportunity to these brands as a form of free advertisement without any money exchange to actually have the brand represented in the form of media. Most of the time though, these will definitely consist of some sort of money contract in order to actually have the brand represented in said form of media. BK is pretty huge though, and same goes with Adidas. I would say, just considering that Furyu isn't exactly the most well-known video game publisher and developer, I would say that there is a high chance there was some type of deal to get all of these numerous brands to appear in Reynatis. Funny thing is too, I ended up tweeting about this, and Burger King UK ended up tweeting back saying people in Shibuya deserve a little treat. I followed up saying, is there such thing as a Wizard Whopper in the universe of Reynatis? And if so, what does it taste like? I am still waiting for the response. I need to know what a Wizard Whopper tastes like. Now, speaking of the visuals of the game, I have talked about this and I have mentioned that they do look dated because they most certainly do. And this comes back to that conversation of Reynatis being a very low budget title. It does look like a PlayStation 2 come PlayStation 3 era sort of game. This isn't a bad thing though. For me at least, like the most important aspects of a game is certainly its gameplay first, narrative second. If both of those are great in those departments, then I don't have any issues. The game can look like a piece of mud with a few stones and sticks sticking out of it, and I wouldn't have an issue, so long as that piece of mud is fun to play with and it's got a good story to tell. Now, Isobe was playing on the Switch version of the game. We also know that there is going to be a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 version. However, I don't really think there's going to be significant difference between the Switch to the PlayStation version at all. It also looks like the Switch version plays at 60 frames, and so it should. Again, with the game looking like this, there's no reason why the Switch wouldn't be able to handle locked in 60 frames per second. Now, Shibuya is not open world. It is divided into segmented areas, very similar to the way that worlds are laid out in Kingdom Hearts. Now, Sari, because she is a member of the Magical Authority, she can go into release mode in public without causing any chaos or panic, whereas Marin, you have to keep suppressed and undercover the entire time. If Marin does go into release mode and reveal that he is in fact a wizard, everyone will start panicking and the authorities will beat that ass. However, you'll want to go into release mode while you're wandering around the streets of Shibuya because release mode can actually uncover hidden items that you can only see whilst in this form. The other thing I noticed too, while walking around Shibuya, there's these weird sort of foggy looking portals. I'm pretty sure these are the entrances into like different dungeons, the different otherworldly areas that you go to in Reynatis, like the forest area that we saw during the combat section. So as of right now, I'm not really holding my breath for this game. I am definitely not assuming that it's going to be some amazing new franchise that is going to blow people's minds. It's going to be a competent action RPG, because from everything that we've seen so far, specifically looking at the gameplay department in regards to its combat system, yeah, it definitely does look slightly jank. However, we know that Takumi Isobe has wanted to create Reynatis for an incredibly long time. He's always envisioned creating a Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts inspired game, and this is it, so I'm certainly going to give him a chance. As always though guys, be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. After seeing this updated look at Reynatis, what are your current feelings? However guys, that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to keep up with everything that's going on here. Check out my other social media channels, and thank you so much to the Turkitastic patrons. I really appreciate the support. It means a lot. Big love. However guys, I'm Cynical. Hopefully having a fantastic day, and we'll talk real soon.